I'd like to welcome Scott Kruse with the Ben Cruz 18 for Life Foundation. He's the founder. It's been going on for 21 years now. And Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate it.
Scott, tell us a little bit about the event. It's 21 years old now. It's near and dear to your heart. It's near and dear to the community's heart. Lots of support. So tell us how the event started.
Yeah, we thought of the idea one fall after a football game up in Columbia, watching Mizzou play football, and my brother and our two really good friends were hanging out. My brother and his friend were golfers. I wasn't a golfer at the time, and they just swore we could pull off putting on a golf tournament, and I was kind of along for the ride on that point at that point, and we did. We started talking to people that knew something about golf, and we had a really nice golf tournament the first year. We didn't know what we were doing. It went over well, brought a bunch of people together, had a great time. Our goal was to raise a couple $100. That's what we said.
And a t-shirt.
And give away a t-shirt. And we ended up giving away a collared shirt. I wanted a t-shirt. They went next level. We were like, we're going to go ahead and go big, you know. And we gave away a nice collared shirt, and it grew from there, you know.
You and your brother wanted that to go to the 𝐓𝐍𝐈𝐆 Foundation originally, right?
Yeah, yep. We knew we could have the good time. I mean, even me not being a golfer, I was like, I know I'll have fun with all these guys riding around on a golf cart and trying to play golf. So we knew that was covered, but we thought, you know, we're going to raise. We got to raise. My wife thought we would go in the red, but they swore we wouldn't, and we were like, you know, if we raise any money at all, we'll send it to a charity. And the V Foundation, I was a basketball coach at the time, and you know, that '93 speech was still fresh in people's minds of Jim Valvano and his cancer battle. And we were like, they had no overhead. I remember that to this day, and it just made sense. And so we ended up raising a couple $1,000, and it was we actually contributed, you know, to them, and felt good about that.
Do you ever say to your wife, boy, you're wrong about this?
I do not. She brings it up sometimes, but I don't harp on that.
Better not rub that in.
No, I do not rub that in.
So Scott, after the first year, you decided though to keep the money more locally. You still donate to 𝐓𝐍𝐈𝐆 Foundation, but somebody come up with the idea, let's help people locally.
Yep, we had started such a good thing with the V Foundation, so we kind of kept sending that. I think it was that same $2,000, we kept sending that in. But we had a businessman, I thought about this on the way here. We had a businessman in Dexter say, I want to keep this local. If we kept this local, I'd sure feel better about supporting you. There's people around here battling cancer. We know them. And that made sense. And I was coaching basketball at Twin Rivers, and we had a young man, his mom was coming to our games. And she was basically dying right before our kids' eyes. I mean, and especially his. But you know, they didn't have a lot. They were just a great country family. I remember how much I respected, you know, just knowing all that. And that second year, between that businessman saying keep it local and that family, they were the first love offering. We didn't even know what we were doing again. But I told my wife, no one that played in this golf tournament would care if we helped them out. And we sent them a little love offering, didn't know what to call it. And then sent the $2,000 to the 𝐓𝐍𝐈𝐆, and I think we kept it. And then going into the third year, we had that and decided, you know, we should do $1,000, and we'll stick with. Later on, we thought about sticking with them if they continued their fight, but that first year was just going to be $1,000, and I ran it out of a checkbook. You know, you wrote a few $1,000 checks and waited for the next year to roll around. You know, and so.
Well, how does the money get distributed locally? I mean, what goes into the thought process on, hey, we're going to give to this family, we're going to give to this family?
Yeah, we're faith-based, total faith-based, you know, and over the years we've realized that when we say local family or area family, you know, we're not. We define that as anyone with a connection to our charity. You know, so you know about us and you've got a connection, but your uncle may live in Arizona or you know, wherever, Oregon, battling the disease. And so I like that. I just think it knocks down, it always has knocked down all these school rivalry walls and city lines and county lines and state lines, but I do think we can still say we help area families out because someone's going to have a connection to this thing. It's not going to be it may be strangers. I love that it's strangers, but the connection is there, and I like that.
That is a great point, though. There's no strings attached. No Bernie Dexter rivalry or
Right.
Risco Gideon rivalry. It's like, who needs the money? Right?
It is, and it's great because I'm in those high school gyms, and yet I'm also in the room when we have our banquet. And I mean, you want to talk about a good, loving. It's like a wedding reception meets church meets. That's probably it. It's like a wedding reception and church all together because it's just something really special and good, and there's just none of that. It's wonderful. I've always, and my brother, that's my brother's spirit though. He wanted everyone to get together and have a good time, and he knew we were doing something good, and so we've carried that on for sure.
21 years you've been having a golf tournament, right?
Yes.
It
Yes,
just
sir.
keeps getting bigger and bigger. You've had it every year, even before you named it the Ben Cruse 18 for Life.
It was always 18 for life, and 4 years in, we lost Ben, and so we had filled up the afternoon. We had went from 27 teams the first year to I think 34 to 56, and that's maxed out. You can't do more than that on an afternoon in one course.
You're gonna have to play 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
right?
you'd have to go weekends, and so we had done that, and then 4 years in, we lost my brother, and so that fifth year, we added the banquet on Friday night, and kind of as a tribute to him, and really brought people together for that, and then added morning golfers, which is really nice because you're businessmen, you're older folk that Saturday afternoon's a long afternoon, a little bit rowdier, but then there's the morning for people that just want to come out and play a real calm, cooler round of golf, temperature-wise too. So
And that's a good point. It's just not all golf. There's really, it's the camaraderie, it's the visiting, it's reminiscing, because it does pull people in from all over the United States. It has ties to your family, to Dexter, really all Southeast Missouri. So how does that make you feel that the spirit of your brother lives through in that golf tournament and the banquet?
Yeah, that's everything to me. Well, it's not everything to me. We do so much to help these people fighting cancer, but the flip side of it is it's my, you've got a brother, and it's like that. It's just a connection to him, and it's a way for people that don't know him. There's so many people playing in this thing now that didn't know him, and I think they kind of feel like they probably could assume they did know. They can assume through me, Dad, just that whole thing. I think they can figure out what he would have been like.
Well, I get to hear about him throughout the year because David Duckworth works with me here. Been with me for 25 years, and Ryan Lancaster. I hear Ben Cruz all the time, so his memory lives on.
Thank you.
Great baseball player.
Really, really solid baseball player. Yeah, really, really just a solid, athlete. He had more athletic ability than me. He was more laid back than me, so he didn't, he didn't work as hard sometimes, but he had more athletic ability, so that balanced out too. But yeah, solid baseball player. And yeah, oh boy, when you say David Duckworth, that's fun memories.
Well, he's right back there listening to us right
Well,
now.
neat. That's awesome.
So you've been having the banquet for 20 years now, is it?
So this will be our 17th. Yeah, so we went into that fifth year and added that banquet. And we didn't want it to be a memorial golf tournament like you hear. It was just, it seemed kind of, I don't know. But we didn't know where we were going with that either. So much of this charity, we didn't know what we were doing. The logo, my buddy designed that in about 10 minutes, and he said, I think this looks really good, and it's stuck, and it's
been around a long time, yes.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. We added the banquet, and we thought we'll probably just do this, kind of have a tribute to Ben. Ben always said we in the first 2 or 3 years, he was like, Dad knows Norm Stewart, and if Dad asked Norm Stewart to come speak, he would come speak, and we ought to have him come speak. And so after we lost Ben, we were like, Dad's going to ask Norm to come. Sure enough, he came. He said yes, and
Was he the first?
he was the first. And
And it's probably difficult just picking out that perfect speaker for this type of event. And you've done a good job doing that, but you have to up your game almost every year, right? It probably gets difficult to pick that perfect person out.
Yeah, I think my brother's got a hand in this, because you're right. It is like every night after that banquet, after people are meeting him, whoever, shaking hands, getting autographs. It's just, you're gonna have a tough time beating this, and it's been that way. And They're all different, and you've met a lot of people. They're all different, but you hope that they're everything they seem, and then they've got to be a decent speaker. And well, we've just, I don't know, but like I said, I want to say we've lucked out, and I kind of don't believe in that. I'm like, I think someone's got a hand in this and getting us some people. And we've had speakers before that I've wanted, and then like last year's had to cancel. And I think it worked out great, because then we get Dick Vermeil, and he wasn't plan A, but I think he's going to be better than plan A, and so stuff like that.
That's a good point, because it's somewhat a solemn occasion, but it's actually an event for hope and inspiration for cancer survivors, anybody that's had a death in their family from cancer, and you do a great job of tributing those families.
Thank you.
Dick Vermeil is one of my all-time favorites. I was a Rams season ticket holder after they won the Super Bowl, so I didn't get to see the glory years too much. Yeah. But I think that's a perfect combination. Ben Cruse, 18 for life, and Dick Vermeil. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks. I'm going to my first banquet. As long as the world don't blow up, I'll be there. Yes. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Dick Vermeil. So how'd you get Dick Vermeil?
Well, so we've had some speakers from Charlie Spoonhour and Norm, John Sunvold, John Mabry from pitcher or outfielder, first baseman for the Cardinals. Different people like that. We had Brian Holman. He lives in Kansas City. So then you get into names that you may not have heard, but I can't even remember how we found some of those. Sometimes it's a connection. Someone's like, I know so-and-so, and they'd be a great guest speaker, and I jot it down, and then you start looking into these people, and they're great. The last few, I've just simply contacted a guy I made a connection on the internet, one of those booking agencies, and the guy really has taken to what we do, and I don't feel like he knows exactly who we're looking for, and so that's helped. That's helped a lot. But then you get into money, and it's a charity, and some of those guys aren't.
They've got to eat too.
They definitely eat. I guarantee you they eat, and they don't typically make a donation, back on their way out the door, So, but I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this, and I think it's going to be this way with Dick Vermeil. I'm just sure of it. I've always told the people, once I get to know them before I introduce them, by the time you do, it's like they're just good people too. I mean, we've lucked out. We haven't had one, when you meet people, you want them to be as good as you just hope for. And we haven't been disappointed yet, so that's been good. And I'll have a tough time faking it and getting up there if we ever have.
Well, it sounds like Dick Vermeil's he's going above and beyond. I think you're hosting an event with him at your parents' house on Thursday night? Yeah,
he's wanting, he offered to come in, and we've always wanted to thank our big supporters, sponsors, workers. We've got people we've got a ton of people. We've got a vast number of people that do a little to quite a lot, and then we've got a really nice army of people to just kind of live this thing and really work and sweat and and then contribute and support. We've got a lot of 20-year sponsors. We've got folks that haven't been 20-year sponsors, but they've jumped on board, trusted us, and and saying thank you gets it's sometimes not enough, and we've waited for something like this, so they'll get to meet him and hang out with him, and his wife's coming. That's neat.
Well, if you live in Missouri, you can't but love Dick Vermeil.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm exactly, and those glory. You start naming those Rams players that he led. It's going to be exciting.
So, Scott, how has the event evolved over the last 21 years? I know obviously it's got bigger, more people. I mean, you could probably book 2 days worth of golf tournaments if you wanted to. I mean, there's teams that you're probably turning down. Everybody wants to play in this tournament, and it's for a great cause. So that really is very heartfelt that people want to play in that. But how's it evolved over the years besides the massive people that come to it?
We've added a fishing tournament. So we've taken golf, and that's the backbone of this thing. I think it always will be, and we've maxed out the course. I mean, 88 teams on one course in one day. I mean, most golf pros would be like, you'll never do that on my course. I mean, it is kind of unheard of. But the fishing, you can't fill up Lake Wapapella, and so they've grown. They're up to like 150 boats, and they're on the doorstep of getting some really big sponsors in that world, and it brings a whole nother. Some golfers fish too, you know, it goes hand in hand sometimes, but sometimes a lot of those guys and ladies are out there on the lake and they learn about 18 for Life, and you know, it brings in a whole nother group of people. The pink volleyball games kind of evolved, you know, that turned into a big deal. I mean, we've had 𝐓𝐿𝐃𝐄𝐃 and Bell City and Advance and, you know, the county schools, Richland, Bloomfield, you know, do the pink volleyball games. So now you got kids doing fundraisers and they're like, what is this 18 for Life? A lot of them will have me come. They'll want me to come get the donation, and I get to tell them kind of what this is going to. In fact, I'll even get to tell the coach, you know, if you know someone that's connected to this team, that's even more special, you know, to know that it went to this girl's grandpa or uncle. And that's happened a lot. So that's been a great way to grow this thing, is just branch out, you know, and do different things. We've had a bowling tournament for about 10 years, and you know, so that's that. You know, the biggest thing about the golf is the Elks Lodge is only so big, so we sell it out, and it's a great problem, but I hate turning people away. And then the golf is only so big, and you know, there's people each year that kind of wait around and sometimes don't get to play, you know, don't get in. So,
well, Scott, there's one thing I know about you. You said that you can't fill Wapapella Lake up. I know you're going to die trying. So.
Yeah, they will. Yes, yes, we will. It's yeah, and it's a well done. You know, the one thing we try to make it really fun. You know, I don't feel like it's ever gotten out of hand to where it's just like a frat party golf tournament type of thing. It's just, again, it's something about that spirit or aura around it. It's like everyone, I think, keeps in mind that we're doing something good, you know, and they know where it's going and where the money's going, and I think they appreciate that when they're out there, you know, even.
How much money have you raised in 21 years? Do you have a total on that?
No, okay, so we have trouble with, so we keep track of how many love offerings we give away. And that's only because as this thing blew up, I mean, I was literally running this thing out of a checkbook, and then it just blew up to where, you know, our accountant, you know, my friend that's an accountant and my sister-in-law that's a lawyer is like, you know, this isn't going to work anymore. You know, we're going to need to go 501c3 on them and do this official and everything. So at that point, we started tracking love offerings sent, because we really don't have any overhead. I mean, we don't, you know, we send those out with stamps and envelopes. We buy the gear to give gifts to golfers, which is a reason they come back each year. And so I feel like but no overhead. No one's getting a salary or anything like that. So we started tracking, okay, it's all about how many we send out. So we're at $2,935,000 sent out, and that's going into this event, and that's going to get us to $3 million, you know, over the summer. So
it's amazing. You've done a great job with this.
Thank you. It's not what that wasn't a plan, you know, it wasn't a business plan or a thought or a dream even. We were literally wanting to do a little golf tournament and send some money to the V Foundation, and it's better than that. Yeah, it's gotten bigger than that.
How does someone get nominated or recommended for a love offering or a love gift?
Just, we've got our website, 18forlife.com, you know, and it's well done. You know, people go there, they can see our pictures and from all the years and the videos from all the years, and obviously there's a donate button, that there's also a contact button, and you know, that comes to me, and just get in touch with us and get us a name and an address. And I think you've already mentioned it. There's really no application. There's no red tape with doing that. I hear a lot of the stories. I don't need to hear the stories. We're just faith-based, and you know, we're going to get that money out as soon as it's in. We get it out. There's times during years where there's a waiting list, and then we have an event like the fishing or the golf, and it goes out. And
so there's no bureaucracy. If somebody needs it, you're going to try to help.
We're going to try to help. You know, 2,900,000. Have we gotten a name and address at one point? That I don't know. Maybe we did. I didn't sense it, you know, in the email or the call. But I also don't want them to have to go through all this. I just just want people to get us a name and an address, and it goes out. And so, like I said, and it's also that connection to the charity. So often, even if I don't know these folks personally, whether it's the person giving me the name or obviously the people fighting, is still a connection. So there's a level of trust there, even in their voice when they do call and they're telling me how they found out about us and things like that. I want to believe we've had more people like Gary Ryan, who was like, I'm not cashing this thing until I find out what the heck this is, because this may not be real, you know. And I want to believe there's more people like that than would do the other.
And the families are so appreciative. I remember his daughter was so appreciative of that.
Oh yeah, and I'm blessed. I get the thank you letters and I get the connections. You know, I still when I see her, I can see her in Walmart, and it's wonderful. But I wish all of our supporters and sponsors, volunteers, I wish they all got all the letters and the cards, and I keep them all. I graduated. I've had them in little. I started out in a shoebox. I filled up thank you cards, and it was like a size 11 shoebox, and then I outgrew that and got, you know, plastic bin with a lid on it, and then the lid came off and started piling them, and moved on to 3 medium-sized tubs. And this spring, I graduated to just a huge, you know, your big size tub, and just dumped them in there and dumped them in there and dumped them in there. It's about 3/4 of the way full.
And there's so many families, Scott, that can't afford the gas to even get to chemo treatments or radiation. I mean, these love gifts have made a difference in everybody's lives here in the Southeast Missouri that's touched the 18 for Life program.
Yep.
But what are some of the expenses that they've used for 18 for Life? I'm sure you get a lot of feedback on that, right?
That's an awesome question, because it brought me back. When we started this thing, my wife had lost her dad to cancer. And again, we were going to send it off to Jimmy V, knowing the expenses that they had, gas, McDonald's every night, you know, a hotel if they couldn't sleep in the waiting room, stuff like that, you know, and we knew that, and it still took some nudging to get us in this direction. But that we've had families, you know, say, well, we're going to use it to take mom on a vacation, one more vacation, you know, and I'm like, absolutely, you know, and sometimes people are like, we don't need it, we've got good insurance, you know, I'm sure someone could use it more. And I just try to talk them into it. I'm like, look, if you got grandkids, why don't you take them down to the beach or something, you know, why don't you use this to just give your grandkids $1,000 worth of presents and watch them open them. And, you know, sometimes they do, you know, the people are like, yeah, that's a good idea, but we'll still do that, and I'm still sending it back because someone needs it more, you know. I keep every one of those checks that come back with a great letter and pin them on my wall, because, you know, there's a lot of people that are okay, but it's not about that, so I go ahead and send it, because there's a note in there that says this is a lot of people supporting you and thanking you in your fight. So $1,000 doesn't mean anything to you. Everyone would like to read that letter and think about that and know that that's likely true. So
that's got to give you a lot of motivation, inspiration to keep going every year.
It does. Until they say cure, it's just got us wrapped up so tight that it's like we'll just keep going. And we joke around, because it's like, if there's ever a cure for cancer, then what? And we'll still keep having the fun. We'll just think of something else to do with the money. You know, I mean, we wouldn't sacrifice not having all this fun and bringing people together. We'd just figure out a different cause, but that'd be a wonderful thing.
Well, Scott, that's got to be a great feeling for your parents, you and your wife and your entire family. Ben Cruse's legacy lives on through giving, compassion, and just making a big difference in people's lives. So your parents should be proud of Ben's legacy that you've continued on.
Yeah.
He's made a big difference in many people's lives all over the United States.
Thank you.
But mainly this area. So I want to commend you for that. You've done a good job of keeping that legacy going, and it's made a big, big difference in many people's lives.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.